What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. Boy, has it been a crazy weekend for Yu-Gi-Oh! Between the Banlist still shaking things up and Grand Creators Weekend 1, those misprint boxes, 2 collector rares per pack, and an entire box where MCO40, Bortle, some major tubers even got their hands on them, and I think there's not all that many boxes of Grand Creators out there. I haven't heard a single person dealing with waves on this set. Water Enchantress and Rite of Armaseer, I'm gonna say that's how to pronounce it. Correct me in the comment section down below. Yu-Gi tubers mispronouncing things, nothing new there, but they have insane buyouts going all the way to people spending 180, 175 on the collector rare Water Enchantress, and you see lowest listings 275 to 300. This could fall out to 200 with that waifu tax and actually try to stick there. And then Rite, also technically waifu tax, is selling at 170 right now with people actually parting their money there, and the lowest listings are 200. Now, you're a little better off if you're going for the, I just want the engine, what am I paying? Around $50 a pop on both Rite and Water Enchantress. And I think this will calm down a little as people who want this engine and really grabbed at it, they're trying to play in remote duels, trying to get OTS packs, calm down just a hair. But again, there's so little of this product compared to a normal set. You have to think, Genesis Impact flopped, sat on shelves. Ancient Guardians flopped, sat on shelves. A lot of shops went, you know, these side deck building sets, they're really hurting and not selling, and they really tiptoed towards this one. The only good news really within the set is A, how cheap the Exosisters, I suppose, actually are, as well as the new Inzektor stuff, and B, with these collector rares grabbing all the attention for now, Solemn Strike, which does have an ultimate rare hanging above it, is far cheaper than initially anticipated, especially for something people will be grabbing 3 of, as well as Torrential Tribute for both past and current format. Yeah, you can kind of splash it in here or there. Puns. Seriously though, I feel like this is a really nice version of Torrential Tribute, and those are kind of being overlooked as people scramble for their meta cards. The only other thing that I've seen really go crazy on the market around the set is Zoroa, and this seems to be played in Exosisters according to my Discord. I have not actually seen that, but the spike on the graph suddenly being there would lead me to believe, yeah, there has to be some kind of interest from something new. So let me know if this does get played in Exosisters, and if you are actually on that deck, are you in the market for this and you're late, or were you already ahead of it? I feel like that this might be the first good deck building set long term in terms of value, thanks to people going and opening it up, thanks to the under order, all these mixing, matching numbers that came in together in terms of variables, rather than it just being a home run of a set, because everybody's after this engine that splashes with Prank Kids, Phantom Knights, all these other decks, and the rest of the decks in here, honestly, Genesis Impact was better. You had Drytron, you had Live Twin and Rogue, and here you have a worse Synchro engine than we currently already have. Nobody's really defended that when I brought it up. And then Exosister's super interesting archetype that's just missing a little something. Speaking of skill drain and ban lists, we have Lord of Heavenly Prison spiking back up. This was all the way down, really to around $22 listings that we saw a bit ago, and now it's selling for 28 plus. Lowest listing is 30 to 35, and we were even talking about how Burst of Destiny was bleeding a little value before. Well, this card getting a fresh wave of hype thanks to the ban list, and if you're playing Master Duel, just wait until they get this in the game to go along with those Eldritch decks that you're hating on right now. And also with Eldritch being heavily eyed, 7 Cities of the Golden Land also getting a little bit of a buyout, although you can still get some of these relatively cheap. It only has 1 printing as an ultra rare and Blazing Dumpster Fire, and you can end up using this in some versions of Eldritch. I don't think everybody's suddenly going for this, and typically when they do, it's a one-of. That's why it's not just going into the stratosphere on some level of hype. But if you want this option, I would get it sooner than later using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. Lightning Storm also saw a little tick up in sales after the ban list, with everybody looking over at 3 skill drain and saying, how am I dealing with this? I personally think Cosmic Cyclone against Eldritch does a bit of heavy lifting, or, you know, also Twin Twisters if you have a deck that enjoys having discard outlets, but Lightning Storm, a lot of people staring it down, and the ultra rare spike for a bit. You can see people even spending all the way up to $70 quite a bit, but new listings coming in and cooling it off just a hair, but not the most top rated sellers down here under $70. I would definitely think about just upgrading instead of the ultra and having the secret when this kind of things happens and you're in the market, because spending that little bit less for something that will fall out a lot less. Say if there's a super rare, another ultra rare, and Ghost from the trash too. I really hope it's not Ghost from the trash. I do think that it would be smarter just to upgrade to the mid rarity here, though. Or if you can afford it, go way higher. Speaking of super high rarity, how many times am I going to say speaking of? Caius Ultimate Rares have actual spending above the $200 mark, and the lowest copies are now $240, $250 before $300 quickly. People really using Time Wizard format to start to reach back into the collector's market. We're not seeing a ton of upshifts on, say, MRD, LOB first, those kinds of things. In fact, the graded market really chilled out, and now everyone's apprehensively looking at that Logan Paul situation, and it's a huge discussion there. I don't think that market's going to bleed a ton, but when it comes down to it, overall, the vintage/collector market's been reeling a bit outside of past format play, and we see some past format cards just getting a lot of traction. Artifact Dagda, thanks to the list not hitting Scythe at all, you can see it's gone back up from around $4 towards $6, $7 once again. And remember, you do need Scythe to go along with that. None of the copies all super cheap, but none super expensive either. You might want to get yours sooner than later. Trap Eater, because of Eldritch, got bought out. I think this is really a terrible one. The ultra rare version going back to the moon. Just stop it. Just stop it. Don't do this. It's not gonna be a thing again. It had a very niche piece of Yu-Gi-Oh! History, and this is a repetitive buyout that ends up falling out, even though it's from Legendary Collection 5Ds, which does get a lot of attention and traction. Oh no. In my stream, people were pointing out Flunderies is getting a new spell in the upcoming set, Battle of Chaos, that they believe takes it to the next level. I feel like there's not really a lot of market traction backing that, and tons of listings. We've pointed out how in EU this is more expensive. I do think Flunder gets better, but will that one card take it to the next level? Are people sleeping too hard? Let me know. Somebody, when I called this deck Rogue heading into the TCG, somebody like tried to light me up, and I'm like, well, look at the results. It's a Rogue so far. Rogue's not an insult. Tier 2 is not an insult. A Tier 2 deck can win an event, but right now it's stuck in Tier 2, and I don't know that the new spell really puts it to 1.5/1. But what do you guys think in the comment section down below? Are people oversleeping on this bird deck, or sleeping just the right amount with how cheap a lot of these cards are? Incredible Ecclesia continues to go down in price for the Starlight Rare, which is the highest rarity. I think this is about bottom out, because we're seeing a lot of traction over here with the regular secret rare just getting huge sales rates as we head towards the Albus Strike structure deck. So something I would say is consider getting this card, especially the Starlight Rare, around now, because whenever Starlights get bought out, they really don't fall back to where they were before. There's something called price memory, and fees can be really high on Starlight Rares too when you're selling on a platform, so people tend to kind of like stick to the price where they would ever relist it, being a good chunk higher. So I do think with the structure deck on the horizon, people will still max rarity their deck. You know, the irony of three $30 decks, and then needing this expensive card, needing that expensive card that might or might not come in it. Well, the highest rarity version of Ecclesia is something my eye is on. DDDs, and DDs by that note, are really up there in price as we head towards Battle of Chaos, especially the nicer ones, and they've been getting a lot of second rounds of buyouts. This is a deck to keep your eye on. Will it be 1.5 or 2 in the tier list? Probably. It still faces some consistency issues, and it takes a lot of labbing. I feel like it's similar to Drytron in the fact that it's a specific type of player or enjoyer of the show that really labs those combos, and then you have to not mess up in tournaments to really get that representation. That's why you don't see a ton of people, you know, play it throughout the ages. But when that structure deck came out, people were really on it. It's a big brain deck with big brain power, and Now, some big prices if you're playing the nicer versions. Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. We pulled this up on stream. I make that joke here and there. Deep Hips Dragon. Definitely Donkey might have drawn that card from Shrek. But when you look at this, it is getting a bit of a up in price moment here, with the lowest top rated sellers around $30 instead of that $22 to $24 it had been at. So Battle of Chaos has that DM era theming, and also you have Master Duel having a lot of people nostalgic for Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. It's kind of a perfect time storm for people to be after high-end Blue Eyes and Dark Magician stuff, or even those mid-level rarities of them. Lunalights did get some buyouts here. We noted that nothing really was moving directly after the ban list. Well, Fusion is starting to spike up versus what it was for the super rare. There is another version that is budget, and Serenade Dance, which has no replacement, spiking up relatively high for what it was, all the way back to $6+. We see Crystron Halc of Fibrax. I saw you guys in the buyout group today. There's a buyout Facebook group, and they're like, what do you guys think of Ultimate Halc? It's kind of just sitting there while all the Ultra's there. I pointed this out on my last Market Watch, and it actually started to move today after that post. Now, people were spending all the way up to like freaking $70, $80 on Halcs over here. Somebody spent $100 on the Ultra. Oh my gosh, that actually hurts to see. I hadn't clicked that yet. And looking through here now, they're listing back at 65, but the Ultimate Rare is just so unlikely to lose out in value. But we've seen Halc solid 50 to 60 for a while. An Ultimate Rare copy tends to be 2.5 to 3x in value, so I figured this would eventually be around 125 to 150 out of OTS 15, and we are seeing people eat them up today specifically. Number 85, Crazy Box, apparently pretty good against Skill Drain or something like that. Yeah, we're with 3K, rank 4, baby. But it's $2 instead of $1 after some buyouts here for the first edition. Didn't think I'd say that in 2022. And finally, Totally Awesome is getting buyouts on both the Unlim going up just a hair, and the first editions going all the way to 30. I've said before, I think the Water Shark engine is super underestimated. It is a rogue deck, but it is a pretty darn good rogue deck, and I hope to see it have some results eventually. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. I'm gonna go watch the playoffs. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And what do you think of both Grand Creators, the ban list mix-ups in the market, and how everything is just going to the wall right now? I had somebody going, oh yeah, physical's dead, no one's spending, everyone's playing Master Duel. Oh yeah, let's just, remote duels don't exist. Remote duels don't exist. Oh, yeah, and all this spending that's happening because of the ban list and the most absurd sales rates. We actually clicked, I think it was specifically on this, to see how long it would take on Friday to get down past the same day, and that's just today. That's Sunday. So let's go through like 129. There's 2 clicks, 3 clicks, 4 clicks. The sales rates are very real on these cards, and I think at 128 it took like 7 clicks. It was absurd. So people really are in the meta market right now thanks to that ban list.